Anyways, like I said, yeah, Overton's on PC. That said, we need to get to the next news item because we have to talk about elections again. Because why not? Why not? Why not talk about elections again? Donald Trump won't stop going on about them. So I guess we're going to do them right now. That said, a Wisconsin judge rules that Trump's aides have to face trial because of the 2020 fake elector scheme. Let's go ahead and read this, see what's going on. A Wisconsin judge ruled Monday that there is enough evidence to proceed to trial in a felony forgery case against an attorney and an aide to President Donald Trump for their role in the 2020 fake elector scheme. The charges relate to attempts by the former aides to present a slate of Republican electors to Congress, falsely claiming that Trump had won Wisconsin that year, even though he lost to Democrat Joe Biden. Sawara says, and does it want 60 gigabytes of free space or 60 megabytes of free space? I don't know. I'm not the game developer, Sawara. I do not know offhand. The Wisconsin case is moving forward even as there's others in the battleground states of Michigan and Georgia that have faltered. A special prosecutor last year dropped a federal case alleging Trump conspired to overturn the 2020 election. Another case in Nevada is still alive. Dane County Circuit Judge John Harlan ruled that there was probable cause to proceed with the 11 felony forgery charges against Jim Tropis, who was Trump's campaign attorney in Wisconsin, and Mike Roman, Trump's director of Election Day operations in 2020. Those charges claim they committed no crime and were just trying to keep their options alive in case a court case ruled that Trump had actually won the state. So let me get this straight. They basically said, we did fraud so that we could hedge our bets just in case. You know, just because. Just because. You have a hard time not hearing Cyrus when I was playing that game? Oh. I mean, it's, of course you're going to hear me, because, like, the character, that's just me. Tim, so I voice Tim and I voice T in that game. So when you're hearing either of those characters, you are just hearing my voice. Now, granted, T's a little bit different. T's voice is physically different than Tim's, but still. You're still hearing it from the same guy. Gargamay Gold says, it sounds like Trump's minions were even dumber than we thought. Trump's defense attorney says that's not a forgery, but the judge said communication from the defendants showed their intent to present as legitimate a certificate awarding Wisconsin's 10 electoral votes to Trump, not a document to be accepted only if a court ruled that Trump won the state. Oh, so they were just planning on doing fraud. Like, okay, both instances sound bad. Instance number one, where they did fraud to hedge their bets, is bad. Instance number two, where they just did the fucking fraud, they were just like, let's hope we don't get caught doing this, is also bad. Yeah, we committed fraud. We had good reason, though. The preliminary hearing of a third person charged, former Trump attorney Ken Cheesebro, was postponed amid questions about what statements the man made to prosecutors that could be admitted in court. The judge said he wanted to hold a separate hearing on whether comments Cheesebro made in an agreement with Wisconsin investigators were allowed to be admitted at trial. Cheesebro made his comments to investigators voluntarily, and there was no immunity agreement given to him in exchange for talking, said Assistant Wisconsin Attorney General Adrian Blaze. Donkey Bree says, my main issue with Overton is the text is very blurry and hard to read. From what I've played through the game, it's interesting, needs background music, but that's not core gameplay. Yeah, background music stuff, I actually did talk with, I talked with Molly about that, and she said that the soundtrack was going to be diegetic as opposed to background, and that affected that decision, so it is what it is. But as far as the text being hard to read, I think that's just because of how everything got filmed. Because it's a practical effects game, but I can understand that being a problem. I can understand that being an issue. Dragonic says he hires the best people. Oh, he does. He does. She called the move by Cheesebro's attorney to not allow his comments at the preliminary hearing a clear sandbag. The Wisconsin charges brought by Democratic Attorney General Josh Kaul's Department of Justice allege that the 3 defrauded the 10 Republican electors who cast their ballots for Trump in 2020. The state's only witness, a special agent with the State Department of Justice, detailed the allegations. Prosecutors contend that Tropis, Cheesebro, and Roman lied to the Republicans about how the certificate they signed would be used as part of a plan to submit paperwork to then Vice President Mike Pence, falsely claiming that Trump had won the battleground state that year. Dear leader, we would lie for you. We would lie so bad for you. Please lie for us, with us. A majority of the electors told investigators that they did not believe their signatures on the election certificate would be submitted to Congress without a court ruling. Also, a majority said they did not consent to having their signatures presented as if Trump had won without such a court ruling. Oh my God. Lawrence Lessig, a law professor at Harvard Law School, was the only person to testify for the defense. Lessig said that if a court ruled later that Trump had won Wisconsin, the state's 10 electoral votes could only have been awarded to him if a certificate was submitted on time, signed by the Republican electors. I don't see how anyone could fairly conclude that's fraudulent. Monday's hearing came a week after Troupis' alleged misconduct by the judge and tried unsuccessfully to get him to step down and move the case to another county. Troupis alleged that the judge did not write a previous order issued in August declining to dismiss the case. Instead, he accused the father of the judge's law clerk, a retired judge, of actually writing the opinion. Hyland said that he and a staff attorney alone wrote the order. Hyland said that Troupis, who served 1 year as a judge in the same county where he's now being prosecuted, presented no evidence to back up his claims of bias. Jesus Christ, that's so childish. I know that you're saying I did fraud, but I'm saying your dad wrote the thing that says I did fraud, and that makes you as bad as me, buddy. Republican U.S. Senator Ron Johnson asked the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the allegations. The state charges against the Trump attorneys and aides are the only ones in Wisconsin. None of the electors have been charged. The 10 Wisconsin electors, Cheesebro and Troupis, all settled a lawsuit that was brought against them seeking damages. The story was corrected to show that the attorneys who were charged formerly worked on Trump's campaign, but they are still practicing attorneys. Remind me never to get them as attorneys in case I ever get in trouble. Jesus Christ. He only ever hires the best people, everybody. Gargamay Gold says, is it childishness or desperation? I think you and I can both agree that there are plenty of moves people take in desperation that are the things children would do. Clueless says, the good old year 12 theory of politics. Maracus Skullman says these people need to be insulted and spat on. They are so fucking stupid, evil, and undeserving of human decency. Jesus Christ. Those are words, and they do describe things. And that, whew. I mean, I'm not denying that Trump's aides should be ridiculed, should be spat on, all that other fun stuff. I'm not denying that at all. So maybe you've got a point there. Maybe you have a point. Anyway, remember, guys, if you're doing fraud, just say that somebody's dad is arguing against you and not, them. I'm sure that'll work in a court of law. Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagittarius, I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.